No matter where you live in the world, kitchen frustrations are almost always the same. Frozen meat you forgot to thaw, water boiling over at the worst moment, food scraps piling up in the sink, small annoyances that add up every single day. Japan solves these differently, not with flashy technology, but by quietly removing friction one habit at a time. Here are 10 Japanese kitchen design habits that make cooking feel surprisingly effortless. Number 10 starts with something frozen solid. Number 10. The rapid thaw aluminum tray. Everyone has lived this exact moment. Dinner's about to start. You open the freezer, and the meat is still completely frozen. The choices are always the same. Wait for hours or risk the microwave, cooking the outside while the inside stays ice cold. Japanese designers solved it with something almost embarrassingly simple: a flat aluminum tray. No buttons, no electronics, no moving parts at all. Aluminum simply transfers heat faster than any ordinary surface, so frozen food placed on top thaws significantly quicker, using nothing but the surrounding air. No electricity, no batteries, no effort required from the user whatsoever. Less technology, more thought. And that phrase basically sums up the entire philosophy behind Japanese kitchen design. Thawing solves one frustration. The next habit solves a problem that shows up the moment cooking actually begins: running out of space. Number 9. The sink cover cutting board. Space disappears. The second cooking starts, especially in cities like Tokyo, where every centimeter of counter is already accounted for. A cutting board goes down, a bowl needs room, and suddenly there's nowhere left to work at all. Instead of demanding a bigger kitchen, Japanese designers asked a completely different question. What if unused space could simply become useful space instead? The sink cover cutting board sits directly over the sink, instantly turning dead space into a full working surface. Vegetables get chopped, ingredients get prepped, nothing extra gets added to the kitchen's footprint. It's a small idea, but it reflects something much bigger. Rather than adding more space, make better use of the space already sitting there, unused. Extra counter space solves prep. The next habit solves what happens the moment that prep actually starts creating mess. Number 8. The triangular sink strainer. Most kitchen waste appears before a single dish is even cooked. Vegetable peels, fruit skins, small scraps left over from prep. Left unmanaged, they scatter around the sink, or worse, slide straight into the drain and quietly create bigger problems later. Japanese kitchens solve this with a small triangular basket tucked into the corner of the sink. Scraps go directly into the basket, while water keeps flowing normally around it. When you're finished, pull the bag out and throw it away. Nothing complicated. No special mechanism required. Sometimes the smartest inventions solve the smallest, most repetitive problems, the ones nobody even thinks to complain about anymore. Managing scraps handles the mess. The next habit handles something Japan has been quietly designing kitchens around for centuries: fish. Number 7. The built-in fish grill. Fish has shaped Japanese cooking for generations, so at some point, designers asked an obvious question. If millions of people cook fish regularly, why not build the kitchen around that exact habit? Hidden beneath many Japanese gas stoves sits a small drawer that looks, at first glance, like ordinary storage. It's actually a built-in fish grill. Slide the fish in, close the drawer, and start cooking. No extra appliance, no additional counter space, no separate grill sitting unused most of the year. Many people outside Japan have genuinely never seen one before. Yet inside the country, it's treated as a completely standard kitchen feature. Good design isn't only about new technology. Sometimes it's simply about understanding how people already live and quietly building the kitchen around it. Fish gets its own drawer. The next habit solves a mess that's happened in literally every kitchen on Earth at least once. Number 6. The anti-boil over lid. Everyone knows this moment. Pasta's boiling, soup's simmering, everything looks fine, and then you turn away for 1 single minute. Foam rises fast, water hits the rim, and it spills across the stove before you can even react. Japanese designers created lids with carefully engineered vents and steam control built directly in, managing pressure inside the pot far more effectively and stopping boilovers before they even start. It's not a daily catastrophe. It doesn't happen every single time you cook. But when it does happen, it's annoying enough that someone clearly decided it was worth solving properly. And that's the pattern running through nearly all of Japanese kitchen design. If a problem happens often enough, it earns the right to be fixed. Boilovers get contained at the stove. The next habit solves a problem that shows up later, at the sink, with something much heavier than a pot lid. Number 5. The pull-out faucet. Washing a glass takes seconds. Washing a large pot is an entirely different story. Tilting it, rotating it, angling it around the sink while water somehow still can't reach every corner. Japanese kitchens solve this with a simple upgrade, a faucet that pulls out like a handheld sprayer. Instead of forcing the pot toward the water comes directly to the pot instead. Large cookware gets cleaned faster, vegetables rinse more thoroughly, and even the sink itself takes noticeably less effort to clean afterward. It's the kind of feature that seems unnecessary right up until you actually use one, and then every other faucet suddenly feels oddly outdated by comparison. Water finally reaches where it's needed. The next habit solves something even smaller, a problem that only exists for a few seconds after every single meal. Number 4. The self-standing rice paddle. This might be the most Japanese habit on the entire list, not because it's complicated, but because the problem it solves is genuinely tiny. Rice gets scooped into a bowl, and then, where does the paddle actually go? On the counter, and now the counter's dirty. On a plate, and now there's an extra dish to wash. Most people everywhere simply accept this as a minor, unavoidable annoyance. Japanese designers didn't. They built a rice paddle with a specially shaped base that lets it stand upright entirely on its own. No holder, no extra plate, no mess left behind on the counter. It's a tiny fix for a tiny problem, and that's exactly why it exists in the first place. The paddle solves standing upright. The next habit solves something that happens right after boiling, and frustrates almost everyone equally. Number 3. The EGG peeling tool. Boiling an egg is easy. Peeling it afterward is often the genuinely difficult part. Sometimes the shell slides off cleanly in one piece. Other times it clings so stubbornly that half the egg tears apart along with it. Japanese inventors came up with a remarkably simple fix, a small tool that creates a tiny hole or micro crack in the shell before boiling even begins. That small opening helps equalize pressure during cooking, making the shell noticeably easier to remove once it's done. The difference sounds minor on paper, but anyone who prepares boiled eggs regularly understands the appeal the very first time they try it. Once again, it isn't advanced technology at work. It's simply a smarter process applied to an old, familiar task. Peeling gets solved before boiling even starts. The next habit deals with something far less pleasant. The smell that shows up after cooking is already finished. Number 2. The mini food waste dryer. And now we reach one of the least glamorous problems in any kitchen anywhere in the world: garbage, and more specifically, the smell it produces. Vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, leftover food. All of it begins breaking down almost immediately, especially during warmer months. In smaller apartments, even a single bag of food waste can turn unpleasant surprisingly fast. Japan's answer is a compact machine built specifically to dry food scraps before disposal. Instead of letting waste sit wet and decompose quickly, the machine removes moisture directly, cutting down on both odor and volume, and making the entire process of disposal noticeably easier to manage. These machines matter even more in Japan, partly because living spaces tend to be smaller, and partly because waste sorting systems are already famously strict. When dealing with garbage becomes an unavoidable daily task, Japanese designers respond exactly the way they always do. They look for a way to make that task just a little easier. Odor and mess get handled before they ever become a real problem. And that brings us to the final habit on this list, the one that ties every single idea above it together into one clear philosophy. Number 1, designing around real, everyday habits. Every single design so far solves one small, specific frustration, but the real genius sits underneath all of them. Japanese kitchen design never starts by asking what looks impressive or what technology could be added. It starts by simply watching how people actually cook, what they forget, what annoys them, what they quietly put up with every single day without ever complaining about it. A frozen dinner, a crowded counter, a dirty rice paddle with nowhere to go. None of these are dramatic problems on their own. None of them make headlines or sell as a flashy feature. But solved together, one small habit at a time, they add up to something much larger. A kitchen that finally works with you instead of constantly working against you. And that's 10 Japanese kitchen habits that quietly remove friction from cooking, one small frustration at a time. None of them require expensive renovations. None of them require advanced technology, and several don't even use electricity at all. A tray that thaws food using nothing but air. A cutting board that turns a sink into extra counter space. A paddle that simply stands on its own. Individually, each idea looks almost too small to matter, barely worth mentioning on its own. But together, they quietly transform how effortless cooking actually feels, day after day, one overlooked detail at a time. And that might be the most Japanese lesson of all. Innovation doesn't always need to be big. Sometimes it just needs to notice the small thing everyone else learned to ignore. Which of these habits surprised you most? Let us know below and subscribe for more.